welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in a logical order. You can begin with the basics and then move on to advanced concepts. You can also start with the speed track and build an application from scratch, which should pique your curiosity with a desire to learn more. Okay, enough writing. Let's read a file. Let's check out reading from a file, the basics. The interesting thing about reading a file is that we can read from all sorts of files. Text files, spreadsheet data, even database records. We need to learn a little bit more about strings before we go there, but there is nothing stopping us from doing quite a bit with files right now. So let's examine how we read data from a file. This next video is going to read one record from a file. Once that's done, we'll add a few records. We'll even blow up our program a bit to show how to prevent errors. And we'll end using a loop to read a file. Fantastic. Let's click on this selection on the website and view that video. Okay, we're going to read a file today, and we're going to start from the basics. We're going to use a program we've been using before. We've got this, we called it write a file. We're going to read a file today. We're going to read some records on it. Basically, we've got everything we've got up here we're going to leave alone. We're just going to leave save here. And we're going to basically take this save button and kind of move it off to the side a little bit. And I want to make a copy of it. Let's make a copy of it. And I could say load. I'm going to say read, because we're going to do a couple things with this button. We're going to read a record. We're going to read a bunch of records initially, or at least eventually. But for now, we're just going to call it read, and I'm going to call it button read. BTNREAD. And just because I like things nice and even, I'm going to format and horizontal spacing I want to make equal, and it's roughly right there. That looks pretty good. So it's decent, at least. Could probably organize this so it's a little closer there, and we're in good shape. What I want to do is I'm going to read that file. In fact, we've got the file sitting over here someplace. I've got it right over here. If you remember, we created this mylistboxdata.txt. If we go into it, the listbox data comes up, and we end up with Daffy, Tweety, Sylvester, Foghorn, and so on. Looks like we got something on the end of this thing here. What that is, could be a blank, could be something we'll learn to consider later. But right now, we want to read these records into our list box or into a variable or whatever. So what I'm going to start off with first is I'm going to go ahead and close this off. Move this out of the way. And we're going to go into the read button itself. And that creates my code for the read button. Now, the interesting thing about this is, let's make this larger so we can see it. We still need to do the same things we've always done with our code. What I want to do is I want to have do I want a counter? Do I need a list box max? Not necessarily, but I do want to go ahead and bring things in. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to go ahead and basically create my try catch. So I'm going to say try. And then underneath this, I'm going to say catch. And I do want to say EX. Oops, I want to say catch. Exception. EX. And then I want to go ahead and create my braces. And now I've got my block here. Yeah, I could finish this off, and I'll do that right now. I'll just actually put this in place. So now we're going to have a place that if something goes wrong, no matter what we do, this is going to catch it all. Now, what I want to do up in the try piece, well, I'll do what I did before. I want to open a file, process a file, and close a file. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put this in, / open a file. Give it a couple spaces, process a file, and close the file. We're going to do all that. We could use all the same names, but we're going to have to do our stream reader first. A stream reader instead of a stream writer. We can do that again because once again, our system I/O is up here. It's going to allow us to get at the stream writer and the stream reader. All those things are available to us. So let's go down here to our code, and opening a file is no different. They're very similar to in the stream writer as it is the stream reader. So I'm going to go right down here. I'm going to go stream reader, and I need to give it a plan. So I'm going to say input list box. Since we used the list box name before, we'll go ahead and do that. And then we're going to say we have to give it a name. So we're going to say input list box is equal to file, open text, and it'll be whatever name we give it. And we know what name we're going to give it, so we're going to say my list box data.txt, and we'll close that with a semicolon. That's going to open our file for us. And let's go ahead and close it right away. Put in that stuff right here. Since it's the same name, we'll be calling it input. Let's actually put down the, well, we have a close file with the comment. Input list box dot close. And it will close the file for us. That solves the two things that need to go with this, as we're actually working on it. Now what I'm going to do here for the processor file, I need to put it someplace. So once again, we've got that variable sitting up here in our string input area sitting up here. I can certainly use that. So all I need to do is simply say str input is equal to input list box read line. That's it. That brings it into my variable. Let me give myself a little bit of space here. I kind of want to separate these pieces so we've got them all in place. I want to save this right now. But before I do that, I want to actually change this list box to put an X of the M, because I want the name to be wrong. That way we can see what happens with the message box EX. So we'll save that program again, and I'll do a run. The program comes up. All I want to do is hit this read button so I can read in a record into my variable. I'll hit this once. We get this message. Could not find C user /dire Dropbox how to program any language and so on the line. It's giving me the exact path of what it's looking for, complete, right down to the /bin/debug folder listbox x listbox data.txt. So it found an error, and it gave me information as to what that error is. So I can close this thing off. My program's still alive, but I'm going to exit it. I'm not going to change this thing to an M and do a file save and run it again. This time I read my data. Looks like it might have done something. I can't see it because I didn't move it anyplace else. It simply went into the string input area, the string input variable that I created. You want to see that? Well, best way to do that is to actually put in a breakpoint and run it again. Hit our read button. You can see it stops here. I hit F11, go forward. It's setting up my inbox where it's reading it. My string input is right here. I'm going to go ahead and create a watch, add a watch of this thing, and bring up my watch list. Oh, actually, I've got it in a couple of different places here. Some stuff from my old thing that I actually wrote is still here, but it's there. But string input's here, and I don't need them both. I can get rid of one. In fact, I can get rid of my write counter. I'm not going to be using it right now. I'm not going to be using my int list box max either. So we're just going to use the string input. So now I'm going to hit F11. And once I do that, it puts Daffy into the value inside my string input. So it's actually there. Then it's going right here to close the file. So it's going to do that. Oh, cool. Okay, so bang. Does it and gets out, and we end up with our form coming back to us. So nothing really happened there. Let's go ahead and close it, and let's make this thing work. Get rid of our, well, I'll just move this out of the way right now because we'll probably use that again. Let's go down to our code. Take our breakpoint off. And once we have that string input here, we can add it to our list box. So I can simply go lst stuff dot items dot add. And what am I going to add? I'm going to add my str input. And let's see if that works. File saved. Run. Now we got to start all over again because it's sitting in the continue space. There's a start. Do our read. Daffy goes in there. Nothing else is going to happen. Can I read again? Daffy goes in there again. That's interesting. It's reading the same record over and over again. Why is it doing that? It's doing that because we're actually doing this entire loop. We're opening the file, writing it, closing it. Next time we press read again, we're opening it, reading the first record again, closing it. But when we need multiple records, we are a second record, and we need to do something a little bit different here. So I'm going to close it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this line, these two lines, add it to the back end of this thing. This is now going to read 2 records in that area. Save all. Start it. Here's my program. Hit the read. Now it read Daffy and Tweety. It read them both. Well, we know I got a bunch of records in there. So let's go ahead and add this some more. Do a file save. Run it. Program comes up. Read. Read them all. Interesting. I think we only have 4 records in there, but if we wanted to read even more, we might increase this. Now we got a bunch of stuff in here. Do a file save all and do a run. What's going to happen this time? Do a read. Read them. Then it says value cannot be null, parameter name item. So it ended. Why did it end? Because it ran out of records to read. We only had 4 records in there. If we look at our text box again, it looks like this. Daffy, Tweety, Sylvester, Fogger, and nothing else in there. So it actually ended. We need a different way to actually read multiple records into this thing. We can't do this one line in the thing. Not only that, it's cumbersome. We won't know how many records are in a file at any given time. So let's exit this thing out and let's rethink this. One way of doing it, close off the record, is to use a while loop. So what we can do here, what we can do instead is we want to think about these. Let's just get rid of this stuff here, at least most of them, and keep our single line in there. We're going to want that in there. We're going to give ourselves a little room right here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to say, we're going to put a while loop in here. So I'm going to say while, and I'm going to say my input list box dot end of stream is set equal to false And I'm going to set up a block here. Let's just go ahead and create a new one here. That's better. Okay, now it's working. I don't know why this is here. Let's get rid of this. Pull that out of there. And let's put our string input, Control X, put it in here. It's now in here. So while it's not in the stream, while input list box dot end of stream is false. In other words, why I have not reached the end of the file here, keep reading this stuff and adding it to the list box, and then close it. So basically, something just like a little while loop is going to do that for us. Will it? Let's take a look. Do a run. Do a read. Everybody's found. Everybody's found. Do it again. It just keeps on adding to the text box. But I don't blow up anymore. I don't blow up because, as you can take a look, we'll go ahead and put our breakpoint in there. And we'll run it again. And bring our watch down here. And go ahead and do our read. Program comes up. We'll go ahead and do F11. Input list box comes up. It ends up being a, oh, we're only looking at the string input. Okay, so we'll go down here and put string input and run it. And Daffy goes in there. We add it into the list box and we loop through. And do the next one. Tweety comes through. It loops through. It's not going to hit false until it actually encounters an end of file indicator on our file. It finally did. We got our foghorn. It goes and closes our list box, and we're out, and everything is just fine. And our program comes up, and our 4 things are there. So reading a file isn't all that difficult. Typically, you don't want to read just one record. You want to set it up so you're looking at the file and bringing things in. There are occasions where you could read one record, and I'll go into those down the road. But right now, this gives you the ability to actually go ahead and read data in, even though you don't know the count. Now, there's other ways to do this too, where you can actually go through and set something in your text file that we can interrogate and see what's going on there. We'll look at that in a bit. So that's how you read a file. There are a lot of similarities between reading and writing, certainly opening and closing a file. Although there are specific instances when you will want to read a single record or two from a disk. In general, you want to read the whole file or large chunks of it. So the loop will be a common tool for reading data. What you need to take out of this video is reading the file is generally a separate method in your application. In general, the while loop is suited to reading a series of records. Make sure you use a try-catch to protect you from any unexpected errors. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. If you get a chance, please subscribe. That way, you will be notified when something new is available, which is roughly every Friday and every Monday. We'll see you next video.